Good morning. My name is Meredith Shield, Director of the Oregon Conservation Network, a coalition of more than 50 organizations throughout the state of Oregon that works with the Oregon legislature to help pass pro-conservation priorities, protect our unique quality of life, and ensure a better Oregon for our children. We are pleased to announce our 2012 Priorities for a Healthy Oregon for the February legislative session and are joined today by coalition members, the Oregon League of Conservation Voters, the Renewable Northwest Project, the Oregon Environmental Council, and the Our Ocean Coalition. We also thank the press, community members, and members of the Oregon Conservation Network that are in attendance today. We have 3 priorities this session: preserving our coastal legacy, protecting the renewable energy standard, and reinvesting in Oregon's natural resources. We will also work this session to prevent any potential rollbacks to Oregon's environmental legacy. And now I'm pleased to introduce Jim Hauser, co-owner of the Hawthorne Auto Clinic.
Thank you, Meredith. My name is Jim Hauser, co-owner of Hawthorne Auto Clinic, and I have asked the Oregon Environmental Council and the network for a few minutes to let you all know how important Oregon's DEQ is to the success of small businesses in this state. Most auto repair in Oregon is performed by small business, and I'd like to share 2 examples from my personal experience of DEQ's importance to these auto repair businesses. In the late 1990s, DEQ partnered with several local environmental quality agencies and automotive and consumer organizations to create a voluntary third-party green certification program to reward auto repair shops that exceed current air, water, and solid waste requirements. The Ecological Business Program began in the Portland area and now, thanks to DEQ, has grown statewide and boasts over 150 mechanical, collision, radiator repair, and car wash businesses. These small Oregon companies have not only reduced their environmental impact, but have also demonstrated that meeting higher environmental standards does not compromise job quality or job creation or profitability, all while providing these businesses with powerful marketing tools. My second example of DEQ as a small business champion is their efforts to reduce solvent-based auto painting air pollution by encouraging auto body and paint businesses to adopt waterborne auto painting technology and tools to increase the efficiency of spray painting. Paint manufacturers have created a virtual auto painting software and tool, but the training setup is too expensive for most smaller body shops to purchase. With a grant from the EPA, DEQ acquired one of these training aids and tasked a DEQ staff person to study and teach the proper techniques at several hands-on workshops. The goal of these trainings and technical assistance is to increase the number of small body shops in Oregon that convert to low VOC auto coatings and adopt more efficient painting technology, which can also result in cost savings for the businesses. These emission reduction efforts would not have been possible without DEQ's leadership. These technical support initiatives by DEQ are outside of its core mission of regulatory enforcement and will be the first to suffer if their funding is reduced. It's imperative that for the success of their mission and the success of Oregon small businesses, that DEQ's budget remains strong and healthy. I hope that legislators will agree with me and with the Oregon Conservation Network to work for a DEQ budget that doesn't reduce any more revenues from the general fund budget in the current biennium. Small businesses and our environment can't suffer additional losses. Thank you.
Morning. My name is John Arns. I'm on the board of Community Renewable Energy Association. Our association is a member in RNP, and we support small-scale renewable energy, and most of our activity recently has been in the Gorge area. So, for instance, the value of maintaining the RPS in the state of Oregon to help bring future development of the small-scale renewables is extremely important. One example of a small-scale renewable project is Patu Wind Farm. It's in Sherman County. It's a 10-megawatt wind farm. The farmer that owns and operates a wheat farm in that area was successful in putting the small-scale wind farm in place 2 years ago, and is continuing to bring online renewable energy. So it's just very important that we maintain the RPS. It's a tool. It's going to help us continue to move in the right direction. So please give the RPS your support. Thank you.
My name is Doug Moore. I'm the Executive Director for the Oregon League of Conservation Voters. I apologize. Our Ocean Coalition couldn't make it. They intended to be here and they send their regrets. So in a last-minute lineup change, I'm pinch hitting for them. The final priority this year, rather than being on defense, is a proactive effort to designate 3 locations on Oregon's coast as marine reserves. This is very important for the long-term future of the coastline. Establishing a system of no-take marine reserves and flexible-use marine protected areas will protect valuable ocean habitats and sea life and help keep our oceans healthy for generations to come. This is an effort that has spanned 10 years with more than 25,000 man-hours of volunteer efforts, and this is the next logical step to the Beach Bill and will help establish Oregon as a national leader in ocean conservation.
So again, thank you all for being here, and if there are any questions, I would take them now, or other members of the community back here.
Okay, I have a couple. During tough budget times, and even when budget times aren't so tough, smaller agencies generally get hit harder, and environmental agencies, because sometimes they can shift the costs onto fees. The burden gets shifts onto fees and less on the tax-supported general fund that's supported by all taxpayers. And we've seen this happen with the DEQ budget over the past decade. What strategy, if any, do you have to persuade legislators that a number of these programs be supporting the public good should be supported by the public in scarce times?
I'm going to bring up Andrew Salinas, lobbyist for the Oregon Environmental Council.
Well, as Jim mentioned, businesses as well as the public benefits from the work that DEQ does, and in this time of fiscal budget constraints, businesses can't incur additional fees, and the work that DEQ does is shared by everyone. It's water quality, it's air quality, and it's the technical assistance that businesses get on the ground, as well as permits. So this is a shared sacrifice, and everybody should be incurring the revenue that comes from that, which means that it should come from the general fund. Businesses can't incur additional fees, and now is the time that general fund revenues need to kick in for the cost of the DEQ work. And DEQ did take a disproportionate hit in the last budget cycle, and we think that any adjustments should not be taken from DEQ.
The renewable standard, actually somebody else might have. I didn't see in the House Republicans' plans, but I know there was some discussion of some kind of modification or even repeal of it discussed as part of their 2012 platform. How seriously do you think that might happen in this session, that there would be some kind of attempt to either modify or even abolish that standard?
Hello, I'm Lauren Prince with the Renewable Northwest Project. We anticipate seeing some sort of legislative concepts that will push back on the RPS. The thus far, one smaller utility is trying to change the standard in anticipation of load growth, but we need to recognize that the renewable portfolio standard has been a very important part of Oregon's economic health through the past few years. It's provided a bright spot for rural communities, and it's been constructed in such a way that it prevents any quick or rapid cost to utilities.
And one other question I have about marine reserves. Everybody gets a chance here.
Luckily, the original hitter's here, so not only give the full presentation, but answer your question.
In 2009, the legislature passed these, and it was really, as I may have been wrong, but there was a lot of hard work, but there was, as I recall, relatively little controversy. What do you think is holding up the next steps for the legislature to add reserves? Is it simply a lack of attention because of the fiscal crisis, or are there other factors at work?
Well, I simply think that if you're, and again, my name is Susan Allen. I'm with the Pew Environment Group. I'm the director of Our Ocean, which is a state-based coalition that represents about 250,000 members statewide. And I think your question really strikes to the point that this Oregon Marine Reserves process is a decade-long process. It's a process that has spanned over such a period of time that allowing all the partners to get to a point where they can couple and move forward together collectively is the Oregon way. And we were able to achieve that in 2009 due to the good leadership of the Coastal Caucus, especially Senator Johnson. The wonderful thing that has transpired over this last interim between the 2011 session and the February session is more good conversations have happened. When I say good conversations, I mean meaningful conversations, and those meaningful conversations have really set the stage for the groundwork that has gotten to the point where taking the recommendations that have transpired in 2010 alone, where 25,000 volunteers have reviewed the ecological and economic information as it relates to these sites, and actually gotten to a place where there is a sweet spot. Where we see ourselves now is the legislature is on the cusp of creating Oregon's first system of marine reserves. So in terms of the process, establishing a system of no-take marine reserves and flexible use marine protected areas in ecologically important areas of Oregon's ocean will protect valuable ocean habitats and sea life for generations to come. Where we sit in terms of the session is we just received the bill yesterday, and so we're in the process of vetting that. I mentioned that we have 250,000 members, and so it takes a fair bit to get everyone together to take a look at the bill and get to a recommendation, but I'm hopeful that we'll be able to get to the bill and get to something that all stakeholders can agree to, and we as a state can move forward.
And just as an edit question, you think that can happen all in time during this relatively short session, since they're only planning to be here 29 days?
Well, if any state can do it, it'd be Oregon.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Again, thank you all so much for coming, and we look forward to working with the legislature this session on these priorities.
Some of you stick around and just